1919, Charles T. Schnick, a member of the U.S. Socialist Party, was arrested for distributing pamphlets promoting resistance to the military draft. The Supreme Court ruled that Schnick's actions were a danger to society, and they imposed restrictions on free speech for the very first time. In 1925, Gitlow was prosecuted for distributing a manifesto promoting socialism. The Supreme Court ruled in New York's favor on the grounds that anyone who promoted a violent revolution violated New York law. Ruling of the Supreme Court in both of these cases will make the guidelines for all of the future cases like it. This category will be about how the Supreme Court came to the majority opinion. In both of these cases, there is debates on the civil liberties. Civil liberties are concerned with the basic rights and to ensure the freedoms of American citizens are guaranteed.
And Spencer.
Schneck v. U.S. for 100.
In the case Schneck v. U.S., according to Schneck, this amendment was violated.
What is the First Amendment?
Schneck passed out pamphlets supporting the resistance to the military draft and was arrested for violating the Espionage Act of 1917. But Schneck argued he was simply expressing his opinion, and the Constitution protected his speech unless it presented a clear and present danger to society.
Abby.
I'll have Gitlow v. New York for 200.
Gitlow's major argument in the Supreme Court case, Gitlow v. New York, was that his exercise of free speech was protected because of this.
What is no harm occurred?
Gitlow was arrested for distributing copies of the left-wing manifesto. He argued that his 14th Amendment made New York's law restricting his free speech unconstitutional and that his speech should not present a clear and present danger.
Lorena.
I'll have the Supreme Court for 100.
The Supreme Court's decision in the case affected cases in which this was present.
What is all cases in which the defendant posed a clear and present threat?
The phrase, as to create a clear and present danger as determined in Schneck v. U.S., served as a precedent to future cases. It helped to determine which acts of free speech were protected by the First Amendment. Angela.
Gitlow versus New York, 100.
This many Supreme Court justices agreed in the case of Schneck v. U.S.
What is 7?
Sanford, joined by 6 other members, supported the majority opinion. Holmes, joined by 1 other member, supported the dissenting opinion.
And Spencer.
I'll take Schneck v. U.S. for 200.
This many Supreme Court justices agreed in the case of Schneck v. U.S.
What is all 9?
The Supreme Court decided unanimously. These cases restricted free speech for the protection of the people and the nation. Free speech has its limits, which will and can be determined by the Supreme Court.
Abby.
I'll have civil liberties for 100.
These cases both address this issue.
What is restricted speech?
Schneck protested the military and Gitlow promoted socialism. Both of these actions were deemed unsafe for the nation and thus were punished.
Lorena.
I'll have Supreme Court for 200.
The part of government that has the power to restrict free speech.
What is the power of the Supreme Court?
It showed the United States citizens that the government would not tolerate threats or potentially dangerous actions in the name of free speech.
Angela.
I'll get civil liberties to 100.
This civil liberty was affected by both cases.
What is freedom of speech and expression?
In both cases, the Supreme Court ruled against the individual using freedom of speech as an excuse to promote possible dangerous opinions. The decision to not only protect speech that did not present a clear and present danger alerted the public's view of their right to free speech. The government's procedure and public opinion were both affected by these cases.
Thank you for your time. We will now be having a 5-minute commercial break. Abby, what do you think are the negative impacts on this case?
I think that people were afraid that if the government put restrictions on their freedom of speech, it would result in more extreme restrictions in the future. Like, imagine in the future the government having control over all of your methods of speech. They could take away your right to protest and your right to assembly, and you wouldn't be able to express your opinion without their approval. And I believe that the censorship, even just taking away some of the methods available to citizens, would pose a serious threat to the freedom of speech for all citizens.
So Spencer, how would things be different if these cases never happened?
Well, there could be a lot of issues with unregulated speech and people being able to cause violence and hatred through their speech. So without any limits placed on it, people could say whatever they wanted and not have to fear any legal consequence. So they could be infringing upon other citizens' rights and causing some serious damage to the nation in general.
So Lorena, what are the positive impacts on this case?
I personally believe that the danger of violence and threats to national security because of incendiary speech decreased. Additionally, peaceful freedom of speech was clearly defined, so there was a lower probability of threats being expressed through the First Amendment. I think the freedom of speech, it is really important since it's one of the main reasons why a lot of people migrate to the United States, and the fact that the nation can fully understand it and help our society.